indeed, yeah, I'm German originally. Our business grows in Colombia and manufactures in Germany, and we do most of our client activity in Australia. That's why there's some truth to this. Can you pull up the first piece, and then I'll show you a quick video around this. Let's see whether you can, yeah, just pull this one up. We have sound as well. Good.
Can cannabis become the cure for the diseases of modern life? Well, we very much think so. Hello, I'm Oliver Zugel. I'm the CEO of Foliumed. I'm here at our German operations where we're making medicines from the plants we're growing in the highlands of Colombia. What attracted me to become a cannabis entrepreneur? Well, whilst Germany is well known for beers, pretzels, Beethoven and BMW, herbal medicines are a big thing in this country. And I am truly fascinated by the emerging science around the cannabis plant, where we're really just starting to scratch the surface of its possibilities. I very much want to be part of what I think will be one of the big medical discoveries of the century. And that's why I created my first cannabis venture in the United States, which is where medical cannabis really started, and took it thereafter to Colombia and Germany with Foliumed a couple of years later. Foliumed is about making cannabis medicine which works, which is safe and affordable. Most people today still are buying cannabis in the black market, and that's not just people wanting to get high, but people with serious medical conditions, including chronic pain, epilepsy, or mental disorders. For some years now, they have been able to buy cannabis in the pharmacy, but the prices are very high. We think that medical cannabis shouldn't be just a rich man's medicine and want to make it affordable to the patients around the world, including in developing countries. We grow our plants organically on our farm in Colombia, powered only by the natural sunlight around the equator. We compare this to the Northern Hemisphere, where cannabis is grown in grow bunkers, which are air conditioned and full of LED lights. You will understand why our costs are significantly lower than those of our competitors. The plants we grow in Colombia are then sent to Germany, where they are being processed and converted into medicines. Apart from our approach to growing the plants in a sustainable fashion, we pride ourselves very much on producing products which are easy to use and innovative. Today, most medical cannabis is still being consumed either by smoking or by dropping under your tongue, which makes dosing very difficult. We have found a way around this by producing a unique soft gel product which doctors and patients like and which reduce the cost to the patient and to the healthcare system. Medical cannabis has been used for thousands of years, and in terms of its science, the future really has just begun. My personal vision is that medical cannabis will become part of mainstream doctors' practice around the world, not only in developed countries, but also in emerging markets. And we are very much looking forward to be part of that.
Okay, just for starters, you now understand why we're here and what we're about. Fundamentally, it's about affordability and German pharma quality. And there's two things typically don't go together, but they do go together when you get API in from a low-cost country and you fundamentally operate in a generics market. And that's what we're doing with the soft gel capsule. And I want to show you just some trends around this product form in different markets, which has been held back a lot by regulatory considerations, because in many markets, of course, soft gel capsule is considered a finished drug product, therefore requiring FDA registration. I want to show you this piece of data. It's come from Canada a couple of years ago, where patients were asked what dosage form they're using and what they actually would want to use. And you see a absolute dispersion between what they are currently using and what they would like to use. So you can see at the top, joints and smoking cannabis is 25.3%. That's how people use it. But it's the blue piece is what they actually would prefer. and they would actually prefer not to smoke the joint. So I think pretty clear. And so what you're seeing here is that the biggest difference between how people are using it today and what they would like to do is under tablets and capsules. Again, this is not for everyone, it's not, and it's for certain applications, but the reality is people would actually like, rather than dropping oral administration under your tongue, with the taste, difficult to do, geriatric markets don't work, for infants it doesn't work, they would actually prefer to have a soft gel capsule or a tablet as they would take any other pharmaceutical medicine. And so that's, I think, an interesting piece of data because, of course, highly regulated industry, people do not get what they want. They get what is being regulated. And that has been holding back, I think, some of the pharmaceutical product forms for a long time. On top of it, that they're more expensive to manufacture. Making a soft gel capsule costs me 50% more than making a tincture. The way we recover it is that our API, so the active pharmaceutical ingredient, is so cheap that I can fundamentally cross-subsidize the extra cost on the soft gel manufacturing by having a cheaper API, and that's, I think, what it makes all interesting. Can you move to the next page? So just if you look at the, for most of you, this is pretty clear. If you look at the different dosage forms and the comparison of the benefits, it's pretty clear. Every doctor will tell you this, probably many doctors here in this room, that the benefits from precise dosing, taste masking, portability, discretion, standardization of a soft gel is significantly better than what you would get from a tincture. And as long as you create a dosage in the soft gel which allows to titrate, so it needs to be a sufficiently small dose in the soft gel, then it's actually an ideal form to also titrate you up. Which again, if you're dealing with CBD, does not matter all that much, but when you're dealing with THC and you're titrating up a geriatric patient who will want to start on 2 milligrams, 1.5 milligrams or less, it's very important so that you have an ability for the first 14 days to titrate him up into this. So we think that ultimately the soft gels will be replacing oral solutions to a significant extent, to be seen how, and it's a regulatory question above all. But I think if sold at the right economics, it's a better dosage form, the doctors want it, the patients are used to it. So I think that's clear. For flower, I think has its own advantages for immediate onset. So flower and vaping is just a different way of how people will use it. They want immediate relief. You will not be taking a soft gel. You will be smoking flower if you are a chronic pain patient, have a flare-up event for pain. Now, the interesting piece is you should ask, but how come, if the soft gels are so superior, how come that they have a minuscule share in the market pretty much everywhere in the world? So in Germany, for example, there are no soft gels today because the regulator until now has considered the soft gel a finished drug dosage form. So it's not a compounding magistral formulation, which is how the market is regulated in Germany. We're working with the regulators on it. I take no bets on whether we will be managing to convince them, but fundamentally we think we're on a good path. I mean, the doctors understand it, the pharmacies understand it. I think the regulator understand it, but they come from a pharmaceutical regulation where this looks like a pharmaceutical product and therefore requires FDA registration, doesn't fall under compounding pharmacy regulation. In Australia, soft gels about 9%. I think number may even be lower. And fundamentally, you will see key reason for this is there's not a lot of suppliers out there in the marketplace. The few suppliers who do THC come in with very high prices, so about 30% more expensive than a tincture. So very difficult for a self-payer patient to pay for this. But I think the bet is that if the soft gel is priced competitively to a tincture, that ultimately you will see substitution occurring between one and the other. Please go ahead. Next one. Okay, so this is just some of the stuff we do. We don't do only tinctures, we do flower, we do soft gels, oral solution, APIs, and some wellness products, not in Australia, but in some of the other markets, Latin America, where the regulations permit. In terms of the flower strain portfolio, we're working with strains which are between 25 and 35% THC. It saddens me to say that this is what many of the consumers want, This is where the market is. I think it will not stay like this all the time. I think super high THC, I think will be for certain segments of the market. And there are segments, including people of my age and many of the guys in the audience who actually don't want to smoke a 35% THC flower. But yeah, there are certain segments who actually are looking for this. This is what we're offering. Continue. Yeah, you can click on this funny little thing, so it's okay. So this is like a quick flip to one of the flower offerings. If it loads. If it doesn't, we just skip it. I think it's a skip it. Yeah, I don't know, I may. Good. So going back to the soft gel quickly, this is too much information for you to digest, but fundamentally what we decided is instead of offering what has happened in Australia, a myriad of formulations where people, I think, wrongfully believed that you can differentiate yourself by offering a different formulation. You're a 10-12 versus a 10-10 or a 5-to-1 versus a 3.5-to-1. We fundamentally have kept, I think, the model very simple, generated 3 formulations which I think are covering the very vast majority of the indication spectrum. One being a 10 milligram THC capsule that guys from the US will know 10 milligram for an edible is pretty much the limit which most of the American regulators have imposed. There's a balanced capsule, which is the interesting capsule, I think, in terms of titrating people up. So it's a 2.5 and 3 milligram capsule that allows us to titrate people in on THC, therefore covers, I think, a pretty broad range of the indications. And then there are CBD capsules, which are either coming with up to 1% THC, which is permitted in some markets, or below 0.2%, which is the Schedule 4 for Australia. So it's fundamentally 3 formulations, a THC, a balanced, and a CBD. And we think with that you cover most of what you need. So it's different from what you see in the marketplace where people are pushing out a lot of different formulations, which makes it very difficult for the doctors to be consistent in terms of prescribing titration. So it's quite complicated. I think we try to keep this simple. Continue. Okay, then I will not go into too much detail, but this is a pharmaceutically developed product. It's taken us 2 years to do. Has stability on it of 24 months. That's plenty and more than I think most other oral solutions would be offering, I think. That's stability data, same stability data is there for the oral solution. So it's equivalent product. You can either take it as a soft gel or as an oral solution. Continue. And so fundamentally, I think there was one slide missing. What you will see in our mind is that you have on the medical side a migration over time from the oral solution towards more pharmaceutical dosage forms. That will happen. I think it's inevitable. And it will lay the groundwork and the foundation for also building clinical evidence on them. So it's pretty hard to get clinical evidence and an RCT trial, which is difficult enough. On top of it with a dosage form where you cannot precisely dose. So, I mean, some people are doing RCTs on tinctures. I think it's pretty complicated to actually do. So I think at a point in time where you have a dosage form which is solid, which is pharmaceutically secured, it's much easier to build the evidence base, which I think in the medical cannabis industry we need to do no matter what. So I think from our point of view, you will see a transition from what is an archaic dosage form still, right? I mean, people smoking flower and people taking tincture will not last forever. The flower smoking is required for some things and certainly will be the thing in the recreational side, but on the medical side, older people, they want to have oral dosage forms, and I think there the soft gels or ultimately a tablet may very well be something which is taking on more market share than what you have seen until now. I will open to questions rather than belaboring at this point, and please go ahead and ask me anything you like.